Say December sixth, it is 10 a.m. This is the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners meeting, and I will call this meeting to order. We have all three commissioners here, so we have a full quorum this morning. First up is recognition and proclamation as our first meeting of the month. So we're first going to start with recognition for length of service. So we do this in 5-year increments of 5, 10, 15 years, et cetera, for all of our county employees. And we only have one. I guess 5 years ago or 10 years ago in December was not a very popular hiring time.
But apparently this month is.
Yeah, apparently this month is. So
Yeah.
first we're going to start with Fernando Gaspapin from Transit, 5 years of service. Is he here? No, not here. Okay. Thank you, Fernando. Moving on to new employee recognition, Jaylene Cook from Human Resources is going to come and tell us who we have today. And then after she presents, everyone who is a new employee is going to come up and briefly introduce themselves. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Jaylene Cook. I'm the Assistant Human Resources Director. We do have a large group, as you mentioned. Only 3 folks weren't able to join us today, so I will introduce them and then the others will come up here. First, we have Stephanie Arnoldson. She is with Health and Human Services as a Program Manager. Janet Bull, Health and Human Services, one of our mental health nurses. And then Sharon Abercrombie, also Health and Human Services, a wraparound coach.
And I think Sharon's actually a return employee, if I do recall. Yeah, okay. Welcome.
Morning.
My name is Mike Pearson. I work in corrections at the field.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks. Nice to have you. Now we're gonna do, yeah, stand over there.
Photo time.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good
My
morning.
name is Cody Larson. I'm in Human Resources. I'm a recruitment and compensation specialist.
Great.
Welcome.
Awesome,
Welcome.
Cody.
Stanford. Nurse. Focus, vacancy.
Awesome.
Welcome. Thank
Welcome.
you.
All right. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christy Fritz. I'm in finance and I'm in accounting.
Welcome.
Welcome
Thank you.
aboard.
Come on.
My name is Tyler McGear and I work with Health and Human Services, clinical counselor for child.
Welcome. Thanks to have you.
Morning, my name is David Crawford. I work as a community support specialist with solid waste and public works department.
Ah,
Good to have you.
welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Brandy Holmes. I work with development of disabilities and we support the discussion.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think this is maybe the largest group we've had in a while. I'm just
I
gonna
think
say.
so,
This is
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Thank you all for being
Yeah.
here.
Thank you very much.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Hi.
I'm Chris Wilson. I'm also a mobile crisis responder.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, keep on coming. That's great. Oh, boy.
Hi, I'm
Hi.
Heather Peru. I'm one of the clinical behavioral operations managers. Got to meet you.
Yes.
Down in Eugene.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Savannah Matthews and I am the justice counselor.
Welcome.
Wonderful.
Thank
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, this really is the largest group we've had in quite a while.
Yeah, I
So
can't
happy to
remember one
see,
this big.
happy to see all of you here. Thank you for being here. I don't want to keep you standing very long, but I'm going to have Ms. Yule just explain our open door policy really quickly, so all of you are aware how you have access to us and other people in the county should you need it.
So I'm Kristen Yule, County Counsel, so you're welcome, obviously, to talk to my office, HR, or any director if you have any issues with something that's not right. Please contact one of us. It doesn't have to be your immediate supervisor.
Thank you. Well, welcome. Thank you for everyone being here. I think Ken's, it's going to be a photo challenge, Ken.
While they're taking that picture, commissioners, I just wanted to acknowledge that both Heather and David were hired back in October.
Oh.
And so
Okay.
they're joining us because they weren't able to attend the November.
Oh,
tour,
okay.
Okay.
Which is
Yeah.
why you don't see them on the agenda.
Got it.
Okay.
Oh, sorry about that. I tinkered with the settings.
You're gonna have to fix the photo.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Hope I didn't break it.
Casey broke the officer's camera.
It's happened before. Ooh. Oh, you've got a future in photography. All right, thank you,
Great, thank
everyone.
you. Welcome.
I don't think I broke it.
Oh, I thought we talked about it on Monday. Yeah, that's right.
I promise. I would never disrespect you.
Thought I'd let everyone get settled there for a minute. All right, so moving on to our agenda, we have adoption of the consent calendar. These are items of a routine nature, but either staff or commissioners can pull an item for further information, discussion, et cetera. Is there anything anybody would like to highlight, discuss, pull, et cetera?
Madam Chair, nothing for me.
Or for me,
Okay.
I'll move for adoption of the consent calendar as presented.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. All right, don't have any public hearings today. We don't have anything under decision action. The information under our discussion information could certainly be acted on if we wanted it to. First up under discussion information is fireworks management presented by Kristen Yule, County Counsel.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kristen Yule, Legal Counsel. So last year we passed ordinance 527, which is our fireworks ordinance. It allows you by resolution to prevent the sale or the use of personal fireworks. And that's only by resolution, and typically the intent was related to weather-related conditions. However, this has come to play because typically contracts are entered into with the vendors in usually the winter months. And so these discussions probably should be had now regarding, moving forward and kind of a course of action of how you want to approach fireworks. And this is only for personal fireworks, so it's not a fireworks display as put on by like a local jurisdiction. If you've followed the news, a lot of jurisdictions are now going to an outright ban of fireworks. A lot of local jurisdictions here are entertaining that I already have. So my proposal is there a resolution that you want to entertain under our current ordinance? Do you want to amend our current ordinance? So those are just a few options of where we could go with this. So I'm just going to open up the discussion.
Yeah, I guess maybe, Madam Chair, I could get started.
Yep.
Yeah, I do have a memo I'll have Kathleen put in our packet. I'm proposing, just to cut through the chase, that we do prohibit the sales and use moving forward. I do want you to know that on file, we do have some documents. Should you want to review those, we've got a multi-jurisdictional spreadsheet that will just give you an outlook of where other jurisdictions are. We also got all the ordinances on file for other jurisdictions. We've got a document on the retail sales permits. So when we think about that impact that it might be for sales, we can kind of take a snapshot of And we haven't broken those out by unincorporated areas, and that would probably be something we could do to improve that document. There's a fireworks alternatives information sheet. Also an Oregon State Fire Marshal's local agency and rules documents. And then remember back in 2021, fire chiefs came to us with a open letter encouraging, it's the way I read it, to consider the impacts. And I think it's highly suggested that the direction we might go is prohibiting the sales and use. So that's on file as well. You know, one of the things in my discussions with the Fire Defense Board chief a couple weeks ago was that, you know, you look at our ordinance and by resolution, right, we can prohibit the sales and use. He also just put forth for discussion that if we did prohibit the sales and use, we might add language that could enable us by resolution to actually allow sales or use if weather circumstances were favorable for the use. So I thought that was kind of interesting. You know, and I guess my angle is that, you know, things aren't looking like they're gonna get wetter, even though right now you wouldn't think that, would you? East County had 3 days of 100+ degree weather this year. My contention is that unincorporated areas are more vulnerable than our jurisdictional cities. Fire response organizations are historically minimally staffed right now. We've had 2 events caused by fireworks that have required a multi-jurisdictional response in the last year. And of course, property values, mudslides. I think we just learned recently that we're very prone to mudslides. So that's just some preliminary thoughts about where I'm coming from, and met with legal counsel, and I know that she'll propose some language options for us. Many options, maybe one, depending on how we want to go. So,
Okay, Commissioner Howell.
Yes.
Say my
Madam
chair.
Chair. Yeah. I want to thank Commissioner Miller for putting this information together. I think there is a compelling case for a permanent ban. And I think in a way, as the city jurisdictions consider it, as we consider it, I think we're reflecting a shift in attitudes in society. There are always going to be people who think their personal fireworks are their God-given right to celebrate freedom, but the number of the fire safety to me is the overriding issue, but there are other issues too, like people with PTSD, the impacts on animals.
Yeah.
I really think, you know, this is a direction society is moving, and I'm not sure what the best mechanism is, but I will support us going forward in some manner on this.
Yeah, and I would just share that, I think what we've been doing in the past, which is start talking about it like June 30th, you know, really isn't working, because, you know, people may have already made purchases, but also I think in being fair to vendors that get permits in like January and then are buying their inventory. While I think we were kind of earlier trying to make it more weather related, they've already invested in that inventory, and I don't love that, you know, making a notice right away. My second point, so I think talking about it now, I think is really important. And so we can kind of set realistic expectations or what's going to happen now. With timeout, I also think that, you know, we need a holistic approach, or holistic as possible. And what I mean by that is, I think it's really important to have cities on board, or as many of them as possible. And I know in the past, many cities, at least last year, both Newport and Lincoln City, and I think Yachats and Walport, had some type of fireworks ordinance. It was a little different in each place. So, and I might have this backwards, but I think Lincoln City, you could set them off, but you couldn't buy them. And like in Newport, you could buy them, but you couldn't set them off or something like that. So I think if we did something, we would also need to try to kind of make a sales pitch to those cities to have the same something done, so that it's not, you know, a bunch of different ordinances in different places, which then becomes very confusing to the public. It's, you know, trying to be compliant. So I think it's not just us, taking action, but also us working with those other jurisdictions on sharing what we did and trying to
Yeah.
do something similar.
And Madam Chair, to that end, the information I presented to you, I have sent to all of our mayors. I did have a request from the mayor of Newport because they're under deliberation right now for the sales.
Okay.
So I've provided them the same information so they can take a look at that. Yeah, and when we look back at this summer, I know, we didn't want to take away those investments already made. So what our decisions are will be submitted to the Fire Defense Board. So as those retail permit requests come in, which are going to really happen December, January, February, they can see the direction of the policy, at least where we're going, and help them give them some situational awareness of what's happening. So, yeah, I think it's a good discussion and feel like we're kind of on the same page.
So I think, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Miller, Commissioner Hall, but I think our direction back to Ms. Yule is that we probably do want to come back and look at some language.
Okay.
I mean, do you have any advice from a legal standpoint, whether repeal in a brand new ordinance would be better or amending the existing ordinance would be sufficient?
My recommendation is just to amend the current ordinance. So what I can do is bring back, basically an amendment that would ban the use of sale and the use of fireworks, to our current ordinance 527. And then we'd have our first reading on December.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, moving on to discussion information. We have staff report, proposed public hearing and proposed findings for exemption alternative competitive process to solicit CMGC services for Lincoln County Animal Shelter Project, presented by Brian Gardner, Assistant County Counsel. Before Brian starts, I just say I'm really excited we are moving forward. So thank you, Brian.
Brian Gardner, Assistant County Counsel for Lincoln County. So I wanted to put this memo together because I know you've dealt with before doing sole source. So there's different ways to do contracting and still comply with basically all of the rules under the ORS and our local rules. So like the CMGC is construction manager, general contractor. So normally, we would have to put each phase or each project out to bid, do things like that. So in order to get by that, the code allows for, and this is, so sorry, I should start out with, I know I presented a memo, but basically our animal shelter team discussed this and has gone over our different options. We entered the contract, as you know, with Bearing as our architectural firm. And that contract, because we didn't know necessarily what direction we were going to go in, incorporates both avenues of basically doing each of the different phases on their own or having a CMGC, because we didn't know at that time. And I wanted to make sure they were both options. In discussing it, we want to propose, the team wants to propose going forward with the CMGC. And the reasons for that are laid out in the memo. But basically, just to lump them together, it has to do with limited budget that we have, not to maintain our costs and to meet our time deadlines as tightly as we can with, the realities of the architectural planning, the infrastructure that's all needed for this new site and building season, for lack of a better term, for all limitations. So the statutory requirements are laid out in ORS Chapter 279C, and they allow for the use of a competitive CMGC for public improvement contracts, which this would be. And they provide flexibility to proposal evaluation and contract negotiation under specific conditions, and when authorized by the local contract board, which the BOC is, the three of you. So the 279C lays out not just the criteria, but it requires that the BOC make certain findings, that they decide on certain issues, make certain findings to support this. And most of them have to do with making sure that it's a transparent process, that it's a competitive process, so that there's not favoritism, so that we get the best bang for our buck. And so that's what, those findings have to do with, and any contract we would enter with the CMGC would need to incorporate those terms, such as they would have to do competitive bidding process for different phases and have to provide us that information so we could evaluate that and make sure it met their approval, basically. So one of the requirements, as I lay out the 14 different criteria there, and this isn't the time for going through that, but I just wanted you to be aware of what those 14 criteria were. Because the first requirement, should you want to go forward with this, is to have a public hearing. And that I propose would be on December 20th. We put notice out, and so that anybody who had input on, again, that's not for hiring for a contract with the CMGC. It's a public hearing for should we grant the exemption for to do a CMGC. So nothing about doing this process, nothing about the public hearing means that we have to do that. It just means that we've met that requirement in case we go down that route. Otherwise, say in February or March, when we make that decision, we'd be at that stage of having to have a public hearing and kind of start over. So it's a matter of wanting to say, force keep our options. So if we have that hearing, if as proposed on the 20th, that's when you would hear testimony about that evidence for those criteria that you consider, and any public comment, anybody who wanted to provide testimony about those as well. So in short, that's what this would be about, is making sure that we keep that option open. It doesn't obligate you as the board or us as the county to do a CMGC. It doesn't keep us from finding those roles ourselves. But that is something that I think we should consider. It's not just cost savings by going for CMGC, but also the unseen cost savings that can happen because as a smaller town, if we are providing those roles, what is that taking away from our employees doing other duties? If we are providing all the CMGC ourselves, is something I think that we should consider as an unseen cost. So what I'd be asking is that you allow this to be put on the calendar for the agenda for December 20th for public hearing, and that's at that time you can consider the factors, 14 factors, and help make sure we go through all of those. And depending on what you decide, if you so did decide to allow the exemption, then direct staff to create the findings to support that. Direct staff to move forward in what would be a request for qualifications from potential CMGCs. And then, depending on if we get responses to that, it might decide whether or not to go down that route.
Do you need a formal vote today to move that to a public hearing or just consensus?
No, just, yeah, if you're allowed to be put on the agenda for then, this basically, it wouldn't even require that, but I just wanted to make
Yeah.
you aware of that, and so that we could put out the notice, because we do have to put out the notice for the public hearing. And we need to do that now.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely in favor of this process and giving the CMGC concept good solid consideration. I recall, the last significant new construction project of the county between 1992, construction of the current jail, the county at that time used this process, and it didn't seem to improve efficiency.
Anything from you, Commissioner?
Well,
Miller?
I think Assistant Council Gardner is very thorough. He's doing excellent work as well as the entire team. The cost savings is important. Time is of the essence, so let's move this forward.
Okay, I think we have consensus then, because I agree to move this through the public hearing process for our next agenda.
Okay.
Great,
Make sure we
thank
have the notes.
Great.
All right, thank you.
And you can just stay put because our next item is Lincoln County fee schedule changes effective January 1, 2024, also presented by Brian Gardner, Assistant
you.
County Council. And maybe we'll wait a second, Brian, as people
Thanks, everyone.
exit. Yeah, thank you for coming. There we go.
So Brian Gardner, again, Assistant County Counsel for Lincoln County, and I've asked John Rodriguez to come forward too to discuss the proposed fee schedule changes that we do twice a year. So these wouldn't be effective until January 1st, but we need to have this on discussion today. And then we have to get a decision action on the 20th. And so I presented them the same way as I had done last couple times with using the exact same fee schedule that we have currently in place, and then highlighting changes. So you get plenty of pages in there that there aren't any changes. There was actually considerably fewer this time presented. So you get quite a few pages where there's not. And then you'll see highlighted where there are any changes and strike throughs for what was being proposed to be deleted. So the main, so besides the building, the main other changes are just for edits and clarity. And in planning, they are requesting fee changes for their technology and technology administrative fees. And of course, the reason for this that we have found by raising these fees, it does allow departments to provide better service through technology, being able to update their programs and all. Allows us to work with staff constraints to try to get service for our constituency as quickly as possible. And if we don't charge more for the technology and fees for those programs to help with addressing those concerns. With the building, again, I know I brought this up the last couple times, but because the building fees have gone up each time. And that basic reason for that before was that it's gone for a long time without ever being increased. It's been an incremental work effort by Mr. Rodriguez to get our fees in place, the building that actually address department costs for doing this work. And again, so that you can have the staff to efficiently address applications for permits and do the inspections, and also so that we are coming in line, we're getting closer to being in line with our surrounding communities. The goal was to, rather than say, hey, we're this far behind, let's just move it up 250, 300% and actually get in line with everything else. It's been an incremental every 6 months. With, it's gone up, but it is getting closer, so there's not that big shock. But those are really the only increases or changes in this. So the sheriff did have one deletion that we prescription during custody people. But other than that, it's I mean, excuse me,
Building.
Yeah, and I did look through and I didn't see anything that I had an objection to.
Nor did I.
Nor did I.
Okay, so I think then we probably have consensus again to move this on to our decision action agenda for the following meeting. Sounds good.
so what'll happen for that meeting is what you won't see this. This will obviously still be record of access to it. The next one would be what is actually presented to do have the order stamped on it. So that the highlights removed, the strike throughs removed, and I'll make sure that it matches up with the table of contents that helped put together. I think makes it much more accessible.
So it'll be
Okay.
consent.
Oh, is it going to
Sorry,
consent?
beyond decision.
Decision?
Oh, yes.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay.
All right, thank you. And next up is reports from Health and Human Services or Director Romero. However, I need just a couple minutes. So I'm gonna do a 5-minute recess and let's come back at 10. What is that? 10:35. 10:35, we'll be back.
Okay.
Okay, now we are back out of recess. It is 10:35. And we will pick up where we left off, which is Health and Human Services Strategic Plan 2024-2026. Presented by Health and Human Services Director Jane Romero. Welcome, Jane.
Hi, thank you. Good morning. For the record, Jane Romero, Health and Human Services Director. And I am here to briefly present our 24 through 26 strategic plan.
You may recall back in September, I came and presented the closeout of our 19 through 24 plan. We closed it out early, largely because we had either achieved the objectives or they were no longer relevant. That plan was developed before most of our directors joined the county, and it was developed prior to the pandemic. So we closed it, and we have been in the process of planning for the new plan. Yeah, so this is sort of the timeline of the planning that we did. We actually started back in May of 2022, working with Health Resources in Action, a national consultation firm, to work with us on a diversity, equity, and inclusion assessment. We did a pretty extensive staff satisfaction assessment survey, refined it in the first quarter of 23. We got feedback from HIRA in the second quarter of 2023. We synthesized that information, did an analysis, and began the work of drafting it into a new 3-year plan, which is why we decided to close out that and to just move forward with something new and more relevant. We have been working and finally finalized the timelines for the work we're going to do, just recently completing that work, I think in October, early November. I'm here to present it to you today, and we will begin implementation in 2020. So from all of the assessment and survey work that we did, there were some overarching themes. They included recruitment, hiring, and retention, organizational culture, staff voice and decision-making, staff development, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and HHS in regard to how we work with and in the community and within our own community. We took that information and organized it into 6 priority areas. And the 6 priority areas include organizational capacity, emergency preparedness and response, financial health, workforce, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and community or communication and community engagement. Each of these priority areas have 1 or 2 goals. And I'm just going to briefly go through the goals and a few of the objectives. So starting with organizational capacity, we actually have 2 goals. The first is that our structure is defined and communicated to the staff and the public. And then if you go to the next slide, you'll see this for us includes revising and stating our vision and mission statement. And defining the division structure within HHS. I think, as you all know, we use different names and titles and things of that nature. And so we're trying to line that up and be consistent. The second goal under organizational capacity is improve and enhance our work structures. And the objectives under that goal really relate to revising all of our policies at the HHS level as well as at the division level. Looking at our workflows, we have some redundant workflows that don't really make so much sense anymore. And really just getting all of that cleaned up. Target date for that is June of 2025. Next priority area is emergency preparedness and response. There's 1 goal in that area, and that's just really emergency response and continuity of operation plans and roles are developed and understood. There are a number of objectives under that goal, and it really ties to just making sure all of the leadership within HHS is educated about the importance of it, that we have continuity of operation plans in place, that we have emergency response plans in place across all of our divisions. They're different for different divisions. The response, for example, from behavioral health would be very different from the response from public health, so that we have plans in place, they're communicated, and we begin to do our own tabletop responses. We do participate in the ones that happen at the county level, but really many of the things that we might respond to might be specific to us. And so we want to begin to have our own internal tabletops so that we're prepared. We move on to another priority area, financial health. The overall goal is financial solvency such that we can sustain and grow health and human service operations. We have a couple of objectives under that one. We want to make sure we have reasonable productivity standards for all of our staff. and that they're communicated and understood, and that we're using, really modern and useful tools to measure productivity, measure where we are financially and so forth. Next priority area is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And one goal there, we really want to be an organization that values, operationalizes diversity, equity, and so forth. And a couple of objectives under that particular area. We want to make sure our policies are friendly, that we have specific policies relative to DEI issues, and that we have ongoing training at least 2 a year so that our staff understand the importance. And then we move into another priority area, communication and community engagement. The goal there is Health and Human Services has clear, communicated, and coordinated communications and community engagement strategies to and with the Lincoln County communities. There are 7 C words. I just can't get it. Anyway, 3 objectives there. Internal communications roadmap so that our staff feel that they are up to date with what's going on within HHS, that we have a community outreach and engagement plan, and that our website is up to date as well as all of our social media platforms. And then our final priority area is workforce. And so 2 goals there. Goal 1 is that our staff, the HHS staff feel welcomed and receive training relative to their position. And the key objective there is that staff understand how the HHS organization, their role within the organization, the importance of their work, and that they understand the expectations and responsibilities associated with it. And then the second goal is that HHS staff are feel supported by their supervisor and feel that they can engage in a safe, transparent, responsive working environment. And so toward that end, the objectives are that we will have a workforce development training guide and plan, and that we will have a workforce recruitment and retention plan that we write and we begin to work. So moving on to the details, I mean, so I've just given you really broad brushstrokes. The work of this plan is extremely detailed. And these are just some examples so that for every priority area, for every goal, and for every objective, as you can see, there's strategies, activities, and tasks. And I'm just gonna, I think we just put some photos or some screenshots to sort of give you a feel for that. I'm gonna just sort of go through a number of them. You can see all of these activities. Let's go to the next one as well. There's a lot of depth here, and each of these activities are assigned to specific staff with specific time frames. And so I think if you want to run to the next slide, come on, we all know, Stephen Covey told us that what gets measured gets done. So we are, you go to the slide and see the platform that we're using. It's just a really nice dashboard. So for every activity, for everything that we're doing, we will actually be able to have a dashboard that looks pretty much like this. That if you look on the right, you can see, for example, the gray would show us what's not started. We can see green reflects what's on track, what's off track, and what's achieved. So we will be able to quickly monitor. And you can actually click on, in the platform you're using, you can actually click on any area of that demo and sort of get more detail. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see what we're able to track. You can track the metrics or the targets linked to any given objective. We can see the schedule that we have tied to the activities that we have identified. We can see who's involved, who's responsible. We can see what's not started, what's on track, what's achieved. And the system that we're using actually pushes out to people who have responsibilities and obligation to log on and track where they are. So everybody has a constant reminder of their responsibilities associated with it. We've actually launched a little bit of it, and even yesterday I got a push on 5 things I needed to comment on. So So it's active. This is a 3-year plan. As I said, it's from 24 through 26. And, really that kind of wraps it up for me, except I would like to defer and recognize, Lawrence Portal, our Public Health Division Director, and Susan Traxel, our project manager. Executive administrators, except for the work they did to sort of get this all in the platform and get it organized in a way that allows us to work it efficient.
Well, thank you for presenting that to us. I do remember you retiring the old plan, so it's nice to see the new one come in and take its place. And I think this type of work is something that a lot of other departments could kind of look into. I think it's really nice. While we certainly have some, county goals and that kind of stuff, I think on a department level, it's really nice to have that own, internal plan as well. So there's certainly some lessons here for some other departments to think about. And I really like your organizational areas. So anything from Commissioner Miller?
Well, I would say a Stephen Covey quote, "You're sharpening the saw," right? I heard a quote the other day I thought was pretty good in regard to culture, and I'll see if I can get this right. Culture is what we think the people we work with think and feel about an organization that we've never met. So, to this end, I think you're creating definitions that will really help everybody know their role, know their place. Question about the software, is this like a project management software or is it specific just to strategic planning?
It is a project management software. We're piloting it right now and we're using it in other ways. It's just really very nice software.
I mean, does it allow for us to see anything as commissioners or?
There are different categories. There are users and there are viewers.
Okay.
I think they're actually better words than that.
Yeah, right.
But, so the ability to use it comes with a cost. The ability to view it does not. If you have an interest though, I'd be happy to see what I can do to get you identified as a
Yeah.
viewer.
I mean, maybe for
Okay.
just the real higher level stuff, as
Yeah.
this kind of incrementally moves along, it might be kind of neat to be able to see that and learn from it. Yeah, I think this is absolutely excellent. And thanks. That was a lot of information very fast, but it's very concise too. So appreciate it.
Okay, anything, Commissioner
Yes.
Bell?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Romero, no questions. I just want to say when we received the package and I had a chance to review this presentation, I was very impressed that I think you're capturing the 10,000 foot level, but you've also got enough specific tasks with timelines and people in charge that I predict this will be a really useful tool for you. And Madam Chair, you stole a little bit of my thunder because I was thinking the same thing. This could be really, I think, a useful tool for almost every department. I mean, you're the biggest, you're the king of the hill in the county in terms of numbers, but so a department wouldn't necessarily need to have this kind of scope, but this kind of thoughtful planning for the future, I think, is a must.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to kind of see the, granularity of measuring productivity. I think that's very intriguing too.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
All right, still under reports. Do we have any commissioner reports? Commissioner Hall, anything to report?
Not today.
Okay, Commissioner Miller, anything to report?
PIO Kenneth Flip has been keeping tabs on water levels and we reached out to Public Works and Emergency Management, so we have Buckley. Just to note that we do have sandbag stations, Lincoln City at St. Clair, North Lincoln Fire, and also near the animal shelter. So if folks need those, there are bags there in addition to sand. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew about that. And I think Ken and I may do some field exploration on river levels today. Pretty impressive how quickly water rises.
All right, well, thank you for
Okay.
that. I have one thing. I got an email this morning from one of our employees, Paul Seitz, asking if we could, I did not know this, but I guess Mid-Coast Watershed Council has a county representative on that. He has been talking to his supervisor from Public Works and would like to know if Kelly Perry can switch him out on that. Kelly is agreeable, supervisor is agreeable, but I think we need to make that request. I'm fine with this. They seem to have all worked it out and are all on board. They were just asking us if we were supportive of that, which I am. Just wanted to make sure that.
Yep.
Okay, well then,
Absolutely.
with your permission, I will go ahead and send Mid-Coast Watershed Council a request that we're replacing Paul Seitz with Kelly Perry as our county representative on that committee.
Excellent.
All right, any other reports? No?
No, thank
Okay.
you.
Moving on to public comment. First, we're going to look at our written public comment, and as a PIO Lip is pulling it up, I just wanted to say this publicly. I think yesterday afternoon, we started getting some emails, and I think one public comment from Stop the Spray. Oh, came on too late. Okay, to be on this one, but apparently there is a spray application right now, and the title is something like Lincoln County Road Spray. And so the Stop the Spray organization was telling us to remove that application. It is not our application. It's from a private entity, but the title maybe makes it sound like it is our application, but it is not. So
Thank you. for
just
that.
wanted to clarify that, and I guess the public comment receipt will show up next week on public comment. I know PIO have already reached out to them and let them know that that's not us, but.
Okay.
Okay, so was that the only written public comment we received for this week? Okay. Okay, great, thank you. All right, now moving on to real-time online public comment. Do we have anyone that wants to provide public comment online? If you do, raise your virtual hand. We'll give you a minute to do that. Doesn't look like it. Okay. Now, do we have anyone signed up to provide public comment in person? Okay. Welcome. You have 3 minutes for public comment. Let me get
Oh, yes.
things set up. I'll let you do that, Claire.
Okay.
Okay, this is your little timer in black. Black is the right color. So you have 3 minutes. If you could start with introducing yourself for the record.
Good morning, I'm Rebecca Baker.
Morning.
I've resided in South Beach for 25 years. And I've made the observation that each summer becomes drier earlier. I'm extremely concerned about the future of water in our coastal communities. If there's anything I hope we can agree on right now, it's that the science is very clear on the future of our water if we fail to take action. Studies clearly show stream flows decrease by on average 50% on clear cuts, and the impact endures 40+ years. In my lifetime, I will not see a return to normal levels. NASA imagery has shown the severity of the loss of forest cover in our coastal watersheds. Now we must decide how we will address this concern. We must have water conservation measures ready for next summer. Remember, demand is ever increasing as people visit to escape the heat. Many will make this their permanent home. Secondly, water protection must be on the ballot. As citizens' initiative process is laborious, I propose this board puts forth a ballot measure to protect watersheds. Community Rights Lane County has written a beautiful measure for which they are now gathering signatures. We are welcome to copy it verbatim. Now, I know the next words out of your mouths will be blah, blah, preemption law. I hope you understand preemption law is undemocratic at best, unconstitutional at worst. This is a rigging of our democracy by corporate money. It has nothing to do with benefiting society, and as an unjust law, you must challenge it. Thirdly, coastal communities need a forum, much like City Club Eugene, where we people come together, stakeholders, community members, government, law enforcement, etc., and brainstorm ideas to work towards solutions that benefit the community. We need to dialogue with one another. The last thing, which has been realized in some Oregon communities, is purchasing the watershed to protect it. We are too late for some watersheds this lifetime. 475 acres have been logged in Beaver Creek, and the Waldport watershed above Ekman Lake is being logged as I speak. So we've already missed an opportunity to solve a problem that, again, is going to affect us for the duration of our lifetimes and will, if we don't change course, extend into our grandchildren's lifetimes. We should feel a burning desire to affect change as it relates to water. We cannot survive without it. I'm advocating for all of these things, and again, I hope that you are all well informed about the science that unequivocally calls out clear cutting for low flow in our watersheds. This crisis calls for immediate action. Thank you for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment in person? No? Okay. All right, with that, we are gonna go ahead and adjourn our meeting. Our next meeting. Sorry, I'm looking for it, is Wednesday, December 20th at 10 a.m. It says staff meeting on the agenda, but that is incorrect. That is a BOC meeting. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. That could be.